Broadcasting from the Warrior Garden Studios, Hoodlum Ministry.
Where you
Ghost
at?
Pro
Where
Studios.
You at? All my brothers, where
Presents
you at? All my sisters,
the
where you
At
at? I'ma meet you
podcast.
where you at? Where you at? Where you at? All my brothers, where you at? All my sisters, where you at? I'ma meet you where you at? Where you at? Where you at? I'ma meet you where you at? Where you at? Where you at? I'ma meet you where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Yeah, I'ma meet you where you at? I'ma meet you where you at? I'ma meet you where you at? Let's go. This is the Where You At podcast.
Yo, welcome to the Where You At podcast. I'm Angel Ray. This evening, I'm posted up with Sara. Say hello.
Hi.
And we're just hanging out here at the studio. And, man, so I think we got a powerful show tonight, you know. And I always start off by asking my guests, so, like, where are you at in your walk?
Where am I at? Not where I want to be.
Okay.
But I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm getting
so where do
there.
you want to be?
Where do I want to be?
Mm-hmm.
I think I just want to be better.
Okay.
I think I want to be better. I think I want to grow. I think I want to be more consistent.
Okay. So how long have you been in this in the walk, following the Lord?
About 13 years.
13 years.
13 years.
Wow. Kudos, because this is hard. You know what I mean? The walk gets hard sometimes. So ultimately, what led you to come find the Lord?
Grief.
Grief. You want to talk about it?
Sure.
All right, let's talk about it.
Sure. So I grew up in church, right?
Okay.
I grew up in church. I was a youth kid. My mom was in church. We were in church on Wednesdays. We were in church on Sundays. We went to Sunday school.
Yeah.
We did revival.
What church did you
Camp.
go to?
So it was a little Hispanic church in Plainview. It was called La
Okay.
Primera Iglesia Bautista. So it's a Southern Baptist
Okay.
Hispanic church.
Okay.
And so I grew up in that church.
Mhm.
I think my mom came to the Lord probably, I want to say in her 30s,
Yeah.
give or take. And so we went to church all the time,
Mhm.
all the time. And I enjoyed church. I loved church.
Yeah.
But there's that but, right?
Okay, come on.
There's the
but.
I struggled with it because there was no change at home.
Okay.
Mom was a believer, dad was a Catholic, and there was just this tug of war of who are you going to go to church with today? Who are you going to go to church with this Sunday? Oh, you only want to go with your mom, or you want to go with your dad? And so there's this tug of war. There was no unity.
And it's rough because both of those are very strong in their belief and very traditional in their beliefs. So, yeah, I could see a lot of butting of the heads, you know, in the
Yes.
home when it came to
Yes. Yeah. And so that was my, that's how I grew up. I grew up, I struggled a lot. I struggled a lot as a kid. I struggled a lot as a teenager. I got in a lot of trouble.
that. Yeah. So you kind of did the rebellious thing.
I did the rebellious thing. I was in church, but I was doing the rebellious thing. I was fighting. I was stealing. I was lying. I was doing a lot of stuff I wasn't supposed to.
Uh-huh.
And for a long time, I just thought I was a bad kid.
Yeah.
I just chalked it up to I got good parents, I come from a good family. I'm just a bad kid.
Yeah.
Right. And I told myself that for the longest.
So with that being said, though, like, we forget at times, you know, that kids know more than we think they do. So you in your youth, because I was a kid like that too, you know what I mean? Like, I was more aware of what was going on around me, you know what I mean, than my parents may have thought, you know? And so, you know, you experienced that. And, you know, I think us as parents, we should acknowledge that more. You know what I mean? That children do deal with emotions, do deal with those thoughts. You know, they're not just kids. You know, some people, it's just being a kid. You know, like, no, like, I mean, some of the problems that we have are deeply rooted, you know what I mean? In the things that goes on in our mind, you know, mentally.
Yeah.
But I just, I wanted to, you know what I mean? Put that out there. Like, you know, the kids really know more than we think they do.
They do. They do. And so, again, I just chalked it up to I was a bad kid. I was just doing stuff I wasn't supposed to. That's what I have siblings. My siblings are great. They were They are and have been functioning members of society their entire lives.
So you were the black sheep, so they
I was
say.
the black sheep. I'm the black sheep through and through. So I was just like, they do so good and they do what they're supposed to, and they, they've had the same job and they've been married for 10, 15 years. And I'm like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, what it would be like to live that simple life, right?
Yeah. So that was kind of the background. That was kind of my childhood, and I grew up, and luckily the problems that I had and the trouble that I got into, it was as a minor.
Okay.
I still struggled into early adulthood, but I eventually started to make better decisions and not get in trouble as much.
Yeah.
I had a little girl pass away, and that just changed everything. Again, I thought I knew God. I thought I had a relationship. I was in church. I'd been baptized. I think I was baptized a couple of times as a youth. It didn't take. It didn't take. And so it wasn't until I was going through probably the hardest season of my life up until that point that I actually found out who God was.
Yeah.
It wasn't in a church.
Yeah.
It wasn't in a church. It wasn't at church camp. It wasn't at a revival. I found God on the bathroom floor of a Section 8 apartment the night that I had to disconnect my daughter from life support.
Oh my God.
That's where I found him.
Wow. So I know it's hard to talk about, but I mean, do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, we can elaborate. It was kind of, that's where it started.
Okay.
That wasn't, that's where it started. When I say I didn't find God in a church, I found God through people.
Yeah.
Because I was angry. I was angry prior to losing her. I was an angry person. I was a combative person. I was a prideful person. I didn't have a lot of friends. And so when my daughter passed away, I worked at a call center.
Yeah.
And to see these people pull together for me. Like, they put on bake sales, car washes, hamburger sale. Like, I just saw this community of people just wrap their arms around me.
And really care.
And I had never experienced that before. Now, of course, that now, if you know,
Yeah.
That's Amarillo, Texas. That's just in general.
Yeah.
That's just Amarillo. That's what we do.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We take care of ours. It's a community. And I love this community, but I got to experience it firsthand at the lowest season I'd ever been in. And that's how I grew to know God. I felt God's love through people.
I commend you, and I mean, you're strong to be able to speak about that. You know what I mean? Like, as a parent, as a father, like, I love my children, and man, I could never, you know what I mean? Like, like
it's hard. It's hard, and it changed me. Yeah, it did. It's not it changed me.
It's emotional, and I can imagine, but I commend you for healing, and you know what I mean, and that's hard. That's rough.
It is, and when I say that I found God and I felt His love through people, I couldn't even tell you if those people were saved.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you if those people knew the Lord. I just know that they came at the time that they needed to come, and they loved me, and they wrapped their arms around me, and they helped me. And some of them knew me. Some of them I've created. That situation, as awful as it was awful. It was awful.
Yeah.
But so much beautiful things came from that.
Yeah.
My walk with God, my heart changed.
Yeah.
And even though I lost her, like, she gave me something to live for.
Yeah. Yeah.
The friendships that I made in that season have been lifelong friendships. Like, we're friends to this day.
Wow.
So those are things that I wouldn't change. I honor her memory now. I honor her birthday, her death day. Like, I don't all this happened in August. I don't look at that month with dread anymore. It's it's a celebration. And like I said, she gave me purpose. Like, I have a reason to walk this walk. We titled this "The Walk is Worth It."
Yes.
This walk is worth it. I have she's one of those reasons. Like, I am running a race, and she's at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a purpose. Like, I have to keep going. I can't quit.
Yeah, and that's awesome, because a lot of people, unfortunately, would take that grief and destroy their life. And you know what I mean? I did that for a while myself, trying to fill voids, you know what I mean? Because it is a big void in your life, you know what I mean? When you go through something, my mom was murdered, I had a lot of family and people die, and to the points at times where I felt like an orphan. And so, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? You stay drugged up, you know what I mean? Whatever path you take to fill your voids is usually what destroys you. But you don't understand what, the power of love. You mentioned love, you know what I mean? Whenever you feel that genuine love from people, even people who don't know you, like you said, you know what I mean? It is so healing and it is so life-changing, And God, His love is just that much. It's so unconditional that no matter what you have done in your life, whatever you have experienced in your brokenness, the word says that He is the potter and we are the clay. And sometimes He has to break us all the way down to build us how He needs us to be. You know what I mean? So, yeah, the fact that you took that grief and that you understood the purpose of it, you know what I mean? Because in the moment we don't understand. But hadn't you have not gone through that, would you be who you are today? You know what I mean? I ask myself those questions. Had I not gone through some of the ugly things that I experienced, who would I be today? You know what I mean? Like, and then again, like, you don't want to, like, the struggles that you had in your youth, you don't want to be going into your 50s and 60s, you know what I mean? Barely experiencing that, that would be rough,
Yeah.
It would almost probably destroy your life, you know what I mean, after that. But man, like, wow, like that's powerful, to have that love come into your life and bring you to change. So did you start going to church after that, or were you invited to a church?
Not immediately.
Okay.
Not immediately. I didn't start going to church right away. It was, I started to visit churches. Remember I told you I found God on the floor of a Section 8 apartment.
Man.
So I was on government assistance for a long time.
Okay.
Way longer than I should have been. I was on government assistance. We were broke.
Yeah.
We were broke.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have nothing to look forward to. We
Yeah.
were broke. So I started to check out churches, and when you're on assistance, a lot of churches will help. So
Right.
there's churches. I remember they would bring my kids school supplies and, Christmas gifts. And so we started to visit different churches.
Yeah.
We started to visit different churches. It wasn't consistent, but if there was a revival, I'd go.
Okay.
But I did start to build that relationship
So
with God.
the seed was planted.
The seed was planted.
Yes. Yeah, the seed was planted.
The seed was planted. Something definitely changed. I knew that I needed God.
Yeah.
I knew that I needed God.
In your youth, you grew up in the church,
Mm-hmm.
and I think what we don't understand is maybe the seed had already been planted.
Mm-hmm.
It just took that drying out,
Mm-hmm.
that going through that ugly situation. You know what I mean? For that seed to boom. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I do believe the seed was planted. I mean, my mom took me to church.
Yeah.
My grandma prayed for me and prayed for me and prayed for me. I think most of us are here because of a praying grandmother or a praying mom.
Definitely.
My mom prayed for me. She took me to church. So I fully believe the seed was planted.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe God's word. It's like, you train them up.
Yes.
Train up a child in the way that they should go.
In the ways of God, yes.
And so I did depart. I did.
Yeah.
I did depart. But true to His word, I found my way back.
Come right back.
I found my way back. So if that's not God's promises playing out in my life, if that's, I hope that brings hope and confirmation, because it is so true. Like I was the wayward child. I was doing stuff I wasn't supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say this, thank God, by the grace of God, thank God that I didn't get addicted to drugs.
Yeah.
That wasn't something that I dabbled in. Thank God I didn't become an alcoholic. Thank God I didn't turn to that, because I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what I would have done.
Right.
I don't know where I would be if that's where I'd gone to.
Right.
You know
right.
what I mean?
And that's what I'm saying. Those roads that we think about, like, man, we could have been all this, but God, that was not His plan for you.
But there was not all addictions are substances.
Right.
Some addictions are emotional, and what I found out, and I mean, this has just been in the last couple of years.
Uh-huh.
I attached to people.
Okay.
that was I attached to people. I needed that validation.
So I would imagine that you've got yourself in some pretty toxic situations because of that.
Yeah.
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 Because I can see that being an addiction, because this person will give you that feel good. And you want to hold on to that as much as you can, even if it's not coming anymore. They could be destroying you. You know what I mean? But for that one little moment of feel good, you hold on and you cling on. And I can see
high
that.
highs and low lows.
Yeah. So what were you attached to? Ooh, I guess.
It was just people. When you don't know who you are, you'll settle for less. When you don't know who you are, when you don't know your purpose, when you don't know why you're here, you will settle for less.
Yeah.
And you'll fall for potential.
Man.
You'll fall for potential in friendships and relationships. You'll
I see that a lot in women, especially in the world that I grew up in. You know what I mean? When I was out there on my own, I seen pimps. Pimps would do this. They would take broken women and they would break them down. They would give them a little bit of feel good. You know what I mean? Make them feel good, have them earn a little bit of money. But ultimately, in the end, it got to the point to where she was just addicted and she was selling herself to feed her habit because she couldn't live without it. But she held on. I could see that, the women would hold on to have that little bit of feel good. You know what I mean? When the pimp would make them feel good or buy them stuff. You know what I mean? And man, that's...
Or purpose. I mean, it's a purpose. It makes you feel like
and so
somebody needs you. You know, you're here for a reason. Somebody needs you.
Man, that's yeah. And there's a lot of broken women that are living that way right now. You know what I mean? So I pray that this message goes out, because you're definitely an inspiration. You know what I mean? Like, look at what you've come out of. You know what I mean? And look at your life now. And that's definitely a testimony, and that's why we do this,
It is. My little girl passed away. It was a very, very hard time in my life, but, friends pulled together, coworkers pulled together, and I felt so much love. I felt so much love. Even the funeral home, even the funeral home, it's kind of a blur when I think about it, because I had friends that literally stayed with me, and they're friends to this day that stayed with me. I had a friend that she had little kids. She had her kids were little, she had 3 little kids, and her husband kept the kids, and she literally stayed with me and helped me plan this funeral. So it's something that I won't ever forget, and we're friends to this day. We're friends to this day. So, but even there was just so much kindness shown at the hospital and the funeral home and the cemetery, and there was just so much help for me, and there was just so much love. And it just changed. It changed my perspective about people. I just saw people differently. I saw God differently. I felt Him. I literally felt Him. I tell people that it felt like a hug from God.
Yes.
That's what it felt like.
Yes. I've experienced that as well. And then when you feel that Holy Spirit come on you, you just break. You break. I broke. When I gave my life to God wholeheartedly, and the praise and worship, I just broke. I broke. Every tear poured out of my body that I ever had built up, and I knew it was time for a change. And I know exactly what you're talking about, and that was one of the greatest moments of my life.
I knew that He had better for me. Now it's taken years. I'm still walking this walk. I'm still not fully developed. But I've progressed. And I knew that He wanted better for me in all aspects, in life, in relationships, in business. Like, I lived in a Section 8 apartment for 7 years. I own 2 businesses now. I lived on government housing forever. I got food stamps. My kids were on Medicaid forever. Like, I'm a homeowner. Like, we have health insurance. Like,
no, for real.
Like, that's so grown up.
Yeah.
You don't understand.
And like, yeah, having health insurance, having car insurance, being able to say, "Hey, I got full coverage." You know
we
what
ain't
I
riding
mean?
dirty no more.
Yeah, usually we just get, the fam would get the liability just to get the
Just to
tags
have
for
it
the year.
and have the car. Just have the car. You can't do that now.
Yeah, definitely. So no, yeah, I mean, so you've been in this walk 13 years. What were the stages? What did you go through? You know what I mean, to get to where you're at now? Because I think, at times people will have the misconception that God is just like this magic genie. He's going to just give you everything you want as soon as you give your life to him. And, it's not. I've experienced, the steps, the step by step, whatever we got to go through, the molding process, and like you said, we're still in this walk. Like, I have still a lot of growth, you know what I mean, and learning. And but yeah, so what were your steps like? How did it go for you?
So eventually, after visiting some churches, I finally I found my church. I found my church 12 years ago.
Yeah.
I think 12 years ago. I think it started with us going to like little block parties that they would have, the Barrio Bash.
Yeah.
And, it's funny because my pastor sent me a picture of my daughter, and it was from 2012.
Wow.
Or 2012. Yeah, 2012.
Yeah.
And it was like one of the first Barrio Bashes that
Oh,
they had.
wow.
And so it was just like, man, like we've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy. We started to go to church. We would continue to go to church. Gosh, my kids were little.
Yeah.
Every Sunday, getting kids ready. But we kept going.
Yeah.
And we kept going and we kept going. And life happened.
Yeah.
I got married.
Yeah.
I got divorced.
Okay.
Kept going.
Yeah.
Didn't stop.
Yeah.
Didn't stop going. Things happened. Lost people along the way. Lost family members. Lost friends. Relationships. Like, just kept going.
Yeah.
And it wasn't easy.
No,
it wasn't easy.
not at all.
I had my kids. My oldest is 20. My middle child is 12, and she's about to be 13. And then my youngest is 9.
Okay.
So you got to think, I've been walking this walk for 13 years. Like, these kids grew up in church.
Yeah.
Like, they've been hearing the word of God since the womb.
Hallelujah. Like, yeah.
They grew up in it, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's like, I don't want them to have this skewed version of church. Like, I want them to see the difference. I want them to see the change. I want them to be like, okay, yeah, we go to church, and the same person that my mom is at church is the same person that she is at home.
Yes.
The same love and grace that she has for people is the same love and grace that she has for us.
Yes.
And I want to be careful to do that.
Yeah.
My children serve in church.
Okay.
My kids
That's
serve
awesome.
my kids serve in church. My middle, that's what she loves to do. But I'm very, very big on, you're here for a purpose.
Yes.
And we're not just here to socialize. And we're not just here to have fun. And church is fun. I love church.
Yeah.
I love church.
Yeah.
I love church.
Oh yeah, having fun in the Lord. There's nothing like it.
It is fun.
There's nothing like it. You know what I mean? And like in the world, you used to have to like, hey, grab a bottle, let's get drunk, or let's get high, let's do this to have fun. But when you're having fun in the Lord, it's like, it's just, you know what I mean? Like, you can be a kid, you can be yourself, you know what I mean? And it's beautiful, you know what I mean? Like
some
you're
people
just,
think church is boring. You're boring.
yeah. You're just thinking
'Cause I
too
have a
much about it.
blast.
Yeah, jump in. Come on, let's go. Yeah.
It's been a journey. Like I said, I got married, I got divorced. I dealt with like my church is home. I dealt with my ex-husband bringing his new wife to our church.
Ooh. How did that affect you?
It's like I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
I was prepared.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that I was actually we had a night where we still do this sometimes, where we do like pop-up like mini sermons, and like somebody will share like a 5-minute message or whatever. It just so happened that was my night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I was like, God,
you're like,
give me the word.
The word says the Lord will prepare a table in the presence of my enemies.
No, I didn't know. I was prepared.
Yeah.
Like I knew it was coming. I just knew. I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to come.
Yeah.
And, they came for a little bit, but I didn't get out of character. I didn't let it change me. It's like, you know, it is what it is. And eventually they left and they go to church. They have another church.
And that's when you know that you have found that godly peace, that you can pour that godliness out, you know, and yeah, there's no peace like it, you know what I mean? Like, you know, because, you know, we joke, you know what I mean? We joke, like, you know, I joke with my wife all the time, you know, she jokes with me, andas con la sunshine, woo, 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 you know what I mean? Like, we, you know, just, you know, funny stuff. But, you know, if something was to ever really happen like that, like, I know I'd be all right. You know what I mean? You know, like, just that peace. Ooh, yeah, I got a lisp for some reason. That peace, you know what I mean? And that peace that you have, you know what I mean, when you receive the Lord and you understanding and walking in it is just so different. You look at life through a whole different perspective. Like anything could go wrong. The whole world could blow up right now. I'm gonna be all right. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be all right. Like
whoever comes, whoever goes, whatever happens, whatever you lose. And so I mean I experienced that. I experienced, you know, having to go rent for a little bit and, you know, having to walk away from a home that I had started to build and a home that I loved to start over. And I walked away without a fight. Yeah. And not because I wanted to. Right. Not because I wanted to.
Just because you're like.
Not because I wanted to. Because God said, let it go. I got better. I got better. And it took years. It took years. It took years to see that better. Yeah. And it sometimes it does take years. It takes years for those, you know, those seeds that you planted. I planted those seeds taking these kids to church. I planted those seeds getting up every Sunday and struggling and we're gonna make it no matter what. And I see it now. Yeah. I see it now, but it's 12. I see the fruits. I see the fruits. I see my little girl on the worship team. Yeah. You know, I'm praising with my 20-year-old daughter next to me. Wow. And it's, you know, it's beautiful. Yeah. I didn't see it years ago. And I've always seen his goodness. I've always seen his faithfulness. But there's just something that'll leave you in awe when you see your grown child, 20 years old. Yeah. Pure. Yeah. Yeah. That is beautiful. Pure. That is beautiful. Knows who she is. Yeah. Honors God. Yeah. Tithes. Like, you just see it and it's like, it wasn't for nothing. Yeah. It was worth it. Yeah. It was worth it. It was worth it.
Worth every bit of strife, every bit of brokenness that you have gone through at every step in your walk. It's worth it whenever you see your children following in the ways of the Lord. I agree. Now, with that being said, so some folks shelter their kids and just like, you know, they lock them away from the world. So how do you feel like, how would I say this? Like, children are going to experience the world for what it is. You know what I mean? How would you feel like, you know what I mean, if any one of your children would have ever just like, I want to experience life in this way, you know, outside of the church, you know? And I'm asking you because I don't know how I would feel.
I don't know how I would feel. It hasn't happened yet. Yeah. But I think I would have more perspective on it because I was that kid. I was that wayward child. I was that black sheep. I think I would have an understanding. I haven't experienced that with my kids. Yeah. Thankfully. But I mean, it could happen. Yeah. It could happen. Yeah. I don't want it to happen. It could happen, but I have to hold to God's promise. Yeah. They know God. They know His word. They know His promises. I know His promises, and I have to remember that if that does happen, if they do choose a path other than this one, they will be back.
Oh yeah.
They will be back.
No, yeah, I agree with you there, and so and that's why I thought I'd ask you, you know, because you know, of course, you know, I had kids with, you know, 2 other women, you know, and then, you know, I have kids with Cynthia. And so, you know, they all grow up in different households. And, you know, in my house, you know, we follow the Lord, you know what I mean? We live by the book, you know, by the Bible. But of course, like, I don't want to push it on them to where they become rebellious. You know what I mean? And so, like, yeah, that thought always hits my mind. Like, man, you know, my children are, you know, they're growing up now. They're going to experience the world for what it is, you know. And I'm just like, not that I lack faith, but I'm just like, I have my moments. I'm like, I don't ever want my child to be lost out there. You know what I mean? And it's something that it does bother me. Like just not knowing. Not knowing.
I think the best example that we can give them,
because I don't want to shelter them either. Then then become rebellious. Either,
and when my middle daughter, who's 12, be 13 this summer, when it came time for her to like join the youth, I was real hesitant.
Yeah,
because she was still, she was 11. She was a sixth grader. She was little, and I didn't want her to. I did want to shelter her. I did. I know the top. I mean, I was a youth. Like I know. Like I know what happens at church camps. Like I know. Like
you better not. They're like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I know. Again, I was that kid in church. So I didn't want her to go to youth.
Yeah.
And I was hesitant. I wanted to hold her back because I was like, she's and she's a sixth grader. She's 11. Like she's still a kid. And one of the youth pastors, who he knows, like he's a great leader and he's a great pastor, but he also has a past, and he can give insight to that. Like there's a reason that he teaches youth. He knows.
He's been there before, so he can relate. Okay.
And so I had a conversation with him about it, and I'm like, look, and he told me, he said, well, do you want her to learn this in school? Do you want her to learn it from her peers? Or do you want to learn it in church?
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah.
So, I mean, and he was right. I mean, they do touch on topics. I mean, they touch on topics like sex, love, drugs, peer pressure, all the things. And, ultimately I let her join.
Yeah.
At the age of 11. But when you think about it, it's like they're already getting they're getting introduced to that stuff.
Yeah, because in the public schools, I mean, in anywhere, just out here in the world, TV, the phone, YouTube, TikTok, I mean, it is everywhere. The poison is everywhere. So would you agree that the devil is really trying to pull the youth?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, there's some things that we still, like, I still won't allow. She's not allowed to have social media.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
She's not allowed to have social media. I don't know.
I don't blame you.
When she's going to be able to be allowed to have social media, and she wants it.
Yeah.
But I just know her, and I know her, and I know her emotions, and I see a lot of me in her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look.
She's going to be able to hold her own.
You know what? No, I don't. That's the thing is, I don't think she will yet.
Okay.
I don't think my oldest and her are very, very different. My oldest is very unbothered.
Yeah.
If you like her, you like her. If you don't,
she's like, whatever.
She's not gonna lose any sleep. She's been in retail for almost 4 years.
Oh yeah.
She's chilling. Like she's not bothered.
Yeah.
My middle, like she wears her heart on her sleeve.
Yeah. And
they're both of them. They're a combination of me, and she wears her heart on her sleeve. So I'm like,
it's crazy when you see your personality and all your kids like that, huh?
Yeah. And so I know that she is gonna be like, so and so didn't like my picture, or so and so, you know what I mean?
Gonna like,
or so and so didn't comment, or so and so hearted this picture but didn't heart mine. Like I already know.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, you know what? Like let's work on building some emotional maturity. Let's work on discernment and friendships and where to place people, because I still struggle with that.
Yeah.
I struggle with emotional discernment. So I don't expect a 12-year-old to have it figured out. And so that's something that I don't allow social media at that age, at her age. She's gonna have to show me that she's
mature enough,
ready
to
for it. It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword. It's great for business. It's great to stay in touch with friends and family. I've connected with people from elementary.
Yeah.
Like it's good, but it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. So the fruits that you're living through now, you said it. I mean, we all, like it's definitely hard to keep, watering that tree at times, you know what I mean? So that the people know, you know what I mean? They know where you came from now. You know what I mean? You've gone through harsh harsh things, you know what I mean, that most people would have broken. You know what I mean? You've experienced even addiction through attachment. So as a testimony, how are you living now? You know what I mean? Like your church life, you know what I mean? We kind of getting into that a little bit. You said you own 2 businesses.
I do.
Yeah. So what do you do?
I'm a real estate agent.
Right.
I've been doing that for over 7 years.
So when did you decide you want to do real estate?
I always wanted to do
Yeah?
it for as long as I can remember.
Yeah?
For as long as I can remember. It's just something that I wanted to do.
Okay.
And I remember when I worked at that job where I told you, you know, my daughter had passed away and everybody kind of
Yeah.
pulled together. I remember leaving that job and going on to do other things, but because of social media, I connected with these people and these coworkers, and I started seeing people that I used to work with
Yeah.
get into the business, and I'm like, I can do it. I can
Interesting.
do it.
Yeah.
Like we did the same. Like we did the same thing. Like I can do this, and so I just I did it. Like I didn't really know I knew of people, but I didn't really know anybody in the business.
Yeah.
I really didn't have a whole lot of guidance.
So you just like jumped into classes?
I did. I had a full-time job. I worked at a loan company.
Okay.
So I had a 6-day work week, and I
Okay.
was taking real estate classes, and I was staying up till 2, 3 in the morning, reading, trying to get through these real estate classes.
And how long did it take you to complete
A
that?
long time.
Really?
A long time.
Yeah.
The classes expire after a year.
Okay.
I had to ask for an extension.
Oh.
It took me a long time
Okay.
to get through them. Just like I said, I had my son was little. Like
Yeah.
he's 9 now, so he was little. He was
Yeah.
very small. 6-day work week. I was married, kiddos. Like it was just a lot, and then to try and cram that in, but I got it done.
Yeah.
I got it done.
That willpower.
I got it
ganas.
done.
I
did.
tell people you gotta have ganas, man.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did. And ultimately what happened is the job that I had been at, you know, something happened and it kind of involved my kids. There was a gas leak at the daycare and I needed to go get them. And there was only 2 people at my job.
Yeah.
And I had to go get a kid, and they gave me a pushback about like
Really?
coming back to work. And I'm like,
Yeah, like
they're my
child.
kid. Yeah. So it was just like, I don't know what it was. And I wasn't done with my classes, but
So-
I was near the end of my classes. And
Yeah, and at
I
that point you're
quit.
like, man,
I gave
yeah,
my
y'all don't
notice.
care about me and mine. Y'all just want me to, you know what I mean?
I gave my notice.
Yeah. And I tell folks, you know, if your job is stressing you or is putting you in situations like that, you know what I mean? If you're crying in the shower before you go to work in the morning,
you're doing the wrong.
like
you're in the
let
wrong
it go.
business.
Let it go. Because I will tell you, like, man, something can happen to you, something can happen to your family. At the end of the day, they're just gonna find another body to take your spot. You know what I mean?
I was replaced even before my 2 weeks.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
So-
Like the person that they hired in my place was there even before my 2 weeks were up.
Wow.
And it
So
was
it's like dang, it sucks because like you don't feel valued. You know what I mean?
it was hard because it was the best paying job that I had ever had with only having a GED.
Yeah. Yeah.
I only had a GED. I was bilingual. I am bilingual. And it was the best, up until that point, it was the best paying job that I had had up until that point.
How much were you making?
$14 an hour.
$14 an hour.
And now, like,
Yeah.
my kid makes more than
Yeah.
that. My 20-year-old makes
Yeah.
more than that. But when I think about it, at that time, it was like, that was the most I had ever made
And so like
up until that point.
so even at that point, you know, our struggle, you know, you grew up, you know, or you lived on Section 8, you lived on government assistance. So even coming from the struggle, you're like, I never want to go back to that. So you almost like make yourself be stuck there and put up with stuff. You know what I mean?
It's a poverty mindset.
Yeah, the
a
poverty
spirit.
mindset. Yeah. You got to escape that. You got to escape that.
Mhm.
You know, we have to escape that. It's definitely a principality, definitely a spirit. You know, did you
Spirit of
know
lack.
did you know like people are exposing, you know, when it comes to like Section 8 and stuff like that, they don't want a man to live in the house.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's like, why? You know, you really start to think about it. You know what I mean? Because, you know, per the standard of society, you know, the man is a provider and things like that. But they want women to be dependent on them. You know what I mean? For those things. And so what they don't understand though is that there's women like you that overcome, you know what I mean, and boss up and boom, you know what I mean, just completely just elevate out of those struggles, man. So I mean, you could definitely, you know what I mean, with this episode, I pray it's an inspiration, you know what I mean, to women out there that are struggling. If you are on Section 8, if whatever you are going through, if you are going through it, you know what I mean, there is always hope, but you got to get up and get it, you know what I mean?
So that poverty spirit,
Yeah.
I can say that's just something that I've overcome within the last few years.
Yeah.
Again, I've been walking this walk for 13
Yeah.
years. That's not something I've only overcome within the last few years.
Because I deal with it as well. Because like at times you would feel like me personally, I feel like I don't deserve this.
Not so much that.
Yeah.
So you got to think. Like I was on Section 8 longer than I had to be. I had cheap rent.
Yeah.
My kids were on Medicaid.
Yeah.
We had food stamps.
The cookouts.
And even after the fact, it's
Yeah.
like you don't want to better yourself because that's being handed to you.
Yeah.
You don't want to better yourself. You know, you don't, you're going to lose this.
It's almost like they say, psyop, psychological operation kind of.
It's what I came to realize, and this was after the fact. This was within the last few years. This is when tithing came into play and all of that. A lot of people, I'm coming for them.
Come on.
And it's gonna be some believers too.
Come on.
It's a lack of trust in God.
Ooh. Yeah.
You're lying on your taxes because you don't trust God.
Mm.
You're lying on that Medicaid application because you don't trust God.
Mm.
You're riding that clock or saying that you're clocked in and you're not clocked in because you don't trust God.
Come on.
You're buying food stamps because you don't trust God.
Come on.
You're doing it on your own.
Yeah.
You don't trust God.
Yeah.
And I say this because I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been there. So it's like, how do we expect God? And again, like I said, I mean, I'm coming for believers.
Yeah.
Because believers know.
Yeah.
They know
yeah, we
better.
should know better.
We should know
we
better.
should know better.
You're going to say that you trust God, but you were going to lie on that Medicaid application.
Yeah.
I understand. It is scary. It is scary to have your kids without coverage. It is scary to have your kids without coverage. But you know what? There's resources.
Yeah.
There's resources out there.
Yeah.
And you can get health insurance, and there's subsidies, and there's ways to do it.
Yeah.
But people are scared.
Yeah.
Oh, let me get this extra dependent
Yeah.
because I need a few more $1,000 in income tax.
And man, that's it's a reality. It's a reality, and it's definitely a principality that you know what I mean, we should be fighting against and not advocating, you know. And as a church, if we see our people in the congregation struggling, hey, we should intervene with them. How can I help you get the help that you need? And that's one thing that I like to do here. You know, if we have somebody who's struggling, hey, how can we get you resources? You know what I mean? My brothers here, they run private investigation. They have access to all kinds of people that have multiple resources, you know, like, you know, especially vets. You know, we got a brother, Chris, he's what role does he play in the American Legion? He's up there, right? And commander of 425 the American Legion. He's helped a lot of veterans out. I believe that they brought the the first aid kits to the children, like if there's a shooter, right, to the schools. Yeah, to Kenyon ISD, to the schools. If there's a shooter in there, like they brought kits there. You know what I mean? It's just like you gotta be able to help people out. You know what I mean? If you're in this business, if you're in this walk, you know what I mean? Like, and you have the resource, you know what I mean? Put the hand out, you know what I mean? Help people out. But also, you know what I mean? We got to trust God. And when we do that too, you know what I mean? Trusting God. I had a brother explain that to me. He's like, faith is knowing that that's a chair. I believe that's a chair. Trusting in it, sitting in it, is it going to hold you up? You know what I mean? And I mean, it's rough, you know what I mean, to not trust God and to realize like, hey, I'm not trusting God, because I've had convictions like that too, like trying to move by my own will, like, oh no, man, I got my hand in all this and I'm gonna figure this out. And God's like, what if I don't want that for you? You know what I mean? But God, you know what I mean? Like, I'm back and forth with God about it sometimes, you know? Yeah.
We like I said, we say we trust him, but then we're doing the
going about our own way.
Going about it our own way. Like, I mean, it is like you can go to church and you can say you trust God and you can do this and you can do that, but you know, the Bible tells us to follow the laws of the land.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
And that means pay your taxes.
Yeah, pay your taxes. Even Jesus, he was like, give Caesar's what's Caesar's and give to God what's God's. Because they were trying to get him to, you know what I mean? They were trying to, you get what I'm saying? Okay. Okay. Taxation is theft. Yeah. I know where my brother was going with that one.
And we don't like it.
Yeah.
We don't like it, but ultimately, I mean, we got to follow the rules.
Yeah, we got to do what we got to do.
We got to do what we got to do. We got to follow the rules, and
because though they may be wrong in their taxation, you know what I'm saying? We give it because we follow order. You know, and you know, yeah, the Lord said, you know, the word says, follow the laws of the land. You know, so we gotta work. We gotta walk in godliness and in order. You know, according to what God wants us to be like. And so yeah, not trusting God and lying like that. I mean, yeah, you know, it might seem like something small, but
it seems very small.
Yeah.
And like when you're thinking about it, you're just like,
yeah.
It's just a Medicaid application. I'll say I make $30,000 less than I make, right? You say that, but it's like,
but in God's eyes, sin is sin.
Yes, and it's like, look where I brought you from. Like, you're a homeowner. If I met that need, what makes you think that I'm not going to meet this? And we were without insurance for years.
Yeah,
we were without insurance for years. I don't recommend it. I don't I don't recommend it. I think people need, you know, health insurance. I don't recommend to not have health insurance. Like, be wise, but I mean,
what is going on out there?
Oh no,
everything good? Yeah, we're all on live.
like,
but yeah,
what's that sound?
But that's just the rawness, the realness, man. We don't do nothing scripted, so you know things happen. But yes, you know, simple things like insurance. You know, they're a necessity. You know, as much as we don't want to face it, you know. So is that your second hustle?
That's my second hustle. That's my second hustle.
Okay.
So I have my real estate license, and then I'm also health and life license. So I do like supplemental insurance, cancer policies, accident policies, hospital policies, short-term disability. Yeah.
Wow.
I want to help people.
Heck yeah. I didn't know you did all that. I knew you did some insurance, but I didn't know you were covered like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, definitely you got resources. Have you ever had anybody try to lie on, you know, try to come to you for help and
try to try
to pimp the system?
Maybe like on the mortgage side, but it's so hard to like lie on a mortgage. Like you get more time for mortgage fraud than you do for murder. Just
really?
FYI. I mean,
really?
Pretty much. Like, it's crazy. Like,
really?
You can. I'm serious, and I'm like, you can get. You will get
more time. They'll send you to the feds
you
too.
Will get. You will get more time for mortgage fraud than you would for probably anything else.
I get. Yeah, we'll discuss. I don't know what mortgage fraud is, or you know why even attempt.
Like don't even don't. I mean,
we're not here to give you pointers either. So we're going to talk about it when the live goes off. I'm interested in what it is. We'll talk about it then.
Fraud.
Yeah.
No, we don't lie. We don't lie. We don't lie. We don't lie on applications. We don't cheat the system.
No.
But that's one of the things we talked about this walk and how hard it is. That's one of those things. It's like you got to trust God in everything.
Yes.
If you want to see His fullness, if you want to see it in your life, in your kid's life, in your business, in all aspects, you got to trust Him fully.
Yeah.
And I know that any time that anything like that I've been out of alignment, it's because I've been disobedient and because I'm not trusting.
And you feel that emptiness. It kind of hits you for me, when I've been disobedient, like, my prayers aren't being answered, and I can feel it when I pray.
Feel like they bounce back down.
Yeah, or like when I pray, it just feels empty. Like, not that the Lord is going to give you the cold shoulder, but He's not going to honor anything you ask of Him if you can't even honor what He asked of you to be in His will. You know what I mean? And And so, yeah, sometimes, when I would be disobedient, them prayers would feel empty. And I'm just like, man, what's going on, Lord? And then he'll throw me a bone. This is why. I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? But
that's why.
Yeah.
No, I know that feeling. It's
Yeah.
like you feel like I've felt it before where I'm like, God, I'm praying for that. And I literally feel like it's like bouncing back down. Like it's not even like making it past the ceiling.
Yeah, he's just like,
because, being out of alignment. So yeah, this walk is hard.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it. It's not easy.
It's not easy.
But you got to keep doing it. It sucks to be like, somebody's listening. They're like, man, I'm not going to see his faithfulness for 12, 13 years.
Everybody's story is different.
Everybody's story's different.
Everybody's story is different.
But I will say that's what it took from me.
Yeah.
Yes, I've seen his faithfulness and I've seen him show up, but just to, like I said, I am in awe when I take a step back.
Yeah.
And
just look at your life
and
now.
I look at my life now and I look at my children and my daughter, who is 4 weeks from college graduation. Like first generation college graduate. First generation high school graduate.
Wow.
Like, I'm like, God, that's all you.
Yes.
Because, and a lot of people are like, well, good job and this and that. And I'm like, y'all don't understand.
Yeah, glory to God, because he made that way. Yeah, he made it that way. Wow.
And it was years.
Yeah.
It was years. And like I said, I've seen his goodness. I've seen his faithfulness.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen him show up. I've seen him be Jehovah. I've seen him be Jireh. I've seen him be Rapha. I've seen a healer, provider, like name it. Yes. But it's like, wow.
Yeah.
This is what it was for.
Mm-hmm.
Like this.
Everything that you've gone
everything. Through. It was for this. The packing the diaper bag and lugging around the car seat and the fighting in the car on the way to church.
Ooh,
it was for this.
Yeah.
It was worth it. And so when I see, this was something that I had wanted to share with women, but it for men alike, like take your family to church.
Yes. And there's even talk nowadays that the women are stepping up more in the church than the men. Fellas, it's time to be men. I don't care what society or the world says. It is time to be men. Step up. You know what I mean? Be the leader in your home. God gave us a structure. You know what I mean? God the Father, Jesus Christ, the man. And he leads his family, And I'm not saying put your wife down here because that's your rib. You know what I mean? She is right there. That is your helper. You know what I mean? Y'all are there for each other, man. The word says to love your wife like Christ loved the church so much that he died for her. Be willing to die for your woman. Be willing to die for your family. Step up and be a man. Straight up. Mm-hmm. Straight up.
Yeah, that's take your family to church.
Yeah.
Take your kids to church, even if it's hard, even if you're tired. I look back on all these years and I'm like, man, and we've switched buildings. We're in a different building now. Now we're the church is building a new church, and I'm just like, I've gotten to see it. Yeah. And man, it's beautiful, but it's not been easy. It's been hard. Mm-hmm. It's been very, very hard.
Yeah, because we're humans and humans do human things.
Yeah, like I've wanted to quit. I've wanted to quit, and now I can say, man, I'm glad I didn't.
Right.
I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I stuck it out. I'm glad it was worth it.
Yeah.
I'll say that. I say it. I remind myself when I'm struggling, and I'm like, this walk is worth it.
Yeah.
This
remember where you were at.
This walk is worth it because there is just something about seeing generational curses break. I can't.
Oh, yeah.
Poverty?
Yeah.
It stopped.
Broken.
Yeah. It stopped. Teenage pregnancy? Broken.
Hallelujah.
Broken. Spirit of lack? Poverty mindset?
Broken. By a long shot, you blew through that one. That's
broken.
Awesome. Yeah. I see
broken.
You. Yeah.
And I wouldn't, it was worth it. Amen. It was worth it. I will say that. I will say it, and I will say it. This walk was worth it. And I can't wait to see what my other kids do, what my children do. And again, they might veer off. They might.
Yeah.
They might. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know that I'm gonna love them through
Yeah.
it. I know
Let's
that they're
always
gonna
be there for
they're
them.
gonna
Yes.
they're gonna make their way back. That's a
Yes.
promise. I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite scriptures is Psalms 27:13. I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living.
Amen.
I am confident in this.
Yes.
I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living.
Amen.
And there's a song that I love. It's called Better Word.
Yeah.
And it says, He's rewriting my history. He covers me with destiny. And I believe it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I believe it. Like, I thought I was a bad kid. I thought I was a bad seed. I thought I was going to do everything bad. I thought I was going to do everything wrong. And it's like, he rewrote it.
Yeah. This is who he
rewrote
really
it.
wanted you to be.
He rewrote it.
Yeah.
It took me a while to get here.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
did. I took the long way.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Some of us take the scenic route. We see a lot.
I took the long way. Here's the thing. It didn't have to be that way.
Right.
Maybe I needed it because I'm so
Yeah.
hard-headed. But I don't want somebody to struggle like I did.
Yeah.
I don't want somebody
Right.
to go through what I went through.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I had to go through that so that my kids don't have to experience it,
Come on. Yeah.
I'll take it in the
I'll
chin.
do it again.
I'll do it again.
Definitely.
I'll do it again. If I had to work 10 years at beef plants, because I did,
Yeah.
so that my kids will never again, and I have nothing against that. That's
Right.
hard work. I can
Right.
still sharpen a knife to this
Yeah.
day. I will never starve. Thank you, Dad. I will never starve.
Yeah.
But my kids aren't gonna.
Yeah.
That's my kids. They have so much more. Like my kids are gonna own businesses.
Yeah. Generational wealth.
Mhm.
Yeah. Generational
And
wealth.
that's not a bad thing.
No, it's not. There's nothing wrong
That's
with money
not
and
a
having
bad
wealth.
thing.
No.
Let me I learned this as an adult. It took me
Yeah.
a long time to get this. Humble does not mean poor.
That's right.
Humble
That's
does
right.
not mean
Mean
poor.
poor.
I will say that. Humble does not mean poor.
And 9 times out of 10, homeboy that's stunting, he's got the Gucci, the Versace. That's all he's got. You know what I mean? I grew up in the hood, man. And, you see, hey, the car is built. They put like $20K in the car. But the windows, you get blowing snow in the winter through the windows at the house. You know what I'm saying? The house falling apart, but the car real pretty. And it's that poverty mindset. You know what I mean? We want to show off. We want the world to think that we're rich because we think that money gives us status. But truly, man, that humble man, you know what I mean? At the taco truck, I seen a picture of Bill Gates. He's at like a food truck and he's in like, his just, Old Navy shorts and a, probably a Lacoste polo, just little regular old polo and his sandals. One of the richest men on the planet. Just humbly getting some food at the, at the food truck there.
And on the flip side of this, so we're talking about like, we'll say the income tax ballers, right? They want to go buy this,
the
and this.
thousandaires.
I was the opposite.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, I'd stick all that money in the bank and I'd hold on to it because I didn't know when I was going to get money again.
Yeah.
I didn't tithe. I didn't
Yeah.
give. I didn't help people because it was this mindset like I have this
Like,
big
gimme,
amount of money.
I gotta hold on to all
Like
this.
I've got this $7,000. I never know when I'm going to see money like this again. And so there's a flip side to it. There's a poverty mindset can be blowing your money on wheels and all that, and it can also be hoarding your money and not helping people.
Yeah.
And not.
So you gotta have balance.
There's got to be
Gotta
a balance.
be a balance.
But that is something that I've learned is humble doesn't mean poor.
That's right.
God didn't want us to be poor.
He didn't. He wanted us to thrive. Look at King Solomon.
Mhm.
Dude had it all. But why did he have it all? Because instead of when God, hey, what can I give you? The Lord asked him, what do you want from me? I want wisdom. Solomon said he wanted wisdom. He could have had all the riches of the world, whatever, it was all at his disposal at that moment. But in his wisdom and having godly wisdom, he received those things. Like the word says, seek first the kingdom of God and all these other things will be added on to you. Seek him first, in his godliness and everything else. You know what I mean? Even, of course, he'll always give you what you need, but, he will also give you what you want,
He will.
Just don't let it become an idol in your life.
exceedingly abundantly. Like my God's not little. Like he's not small. Like I'm not gonna put him in a box. Like he wants me to. He wants it. He wants me to succeed.
Yeah.
He wants me to be successful because that's gonna help somebody else.
Yeah.
You know,
because you're a walking testimony. You know, I'm sure that a lot of people watching right now didn't know some of the things that you poured out here, you know, about you. They just see, you know, Sara, you know, the realtor, you know, or you know, the insurance agent, like, oh, you know, she's always had a good life. That's what people would portray. That's what people would think. You know what I mean? And no, there's so much more to you. You know what I mean? To all of us, you know, there's so much more to the story. You know, when we come to the faith, the testimony, you know, let our testimonies be a seed planted in somebody that needs it. You know what I mean? That, hey, you still have a chance to. You know what I mean? Yep. We all had the chance. We are, and you know, we struggle. We ain't nobody perfect here, you know. But walking in obedience, you become perfect in the eyes of the Lord, flawed and all. Flawed and all. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
Got anything else to add?
Let's see, when we talk about my kids, business, humble is not poor. Or humble's not poor.
Yeah.
That's a big one. Yeah, just that. This walk, it's worth it.
It's worth
It's
it.
worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it to take your kids to church. It's worth it. Let them see the change in you. I see pictures come up on my Facebook. I see the memories, and I don't even recognize who I used to be. Like, I don't and it's funny because the people that have known me for a long, long time, they're like, you look, I was mean. Yeah. I was mean, and I like to fight. Even as an adult, like, I like to fight. Like, I did. I was mean. I had the chola eyebrows and everything, and they grew back. Like, down, praise God. Yeah. Like, thank God for growth. Yes, I tell people all the time because these eyebrows grew back. Yeah, but no, I look back at pictures and you can't. I see it. Yeah. I see it, and I'm like, who was that person? Yeah, who was that person? Even because I don't. Yeah, like I know, but I don't even remember what that felt like. I don't even remember what it was like walking in the dark. I don't even remember. I know that there was a time where I was so depressed that I didn't want to live, but I don't remember what that felt like. Yeah. I know that there was a time that I was so hurt and so broken that I didn't want to get out of bed, but I don't remember what that felt like.
And that's beautiful because you never forgot where you came from. You know what I mean? And like, I mean, I never forgot where I came from. That's what keeps me going every day. But at this point in time in my life, I almost can't relate. I
can't. You know, and I think about it and I'm like, I know I struggled with that. I know I went through that. I know this is what I did about it. This is how but I don't remember what that felt like. Yeah. I don't remember but I know that I was there. Yeah. I know that I didn't know why I was here. Yeah. I didn't know what my purpose was. Yeah. But I don't remember what that felt like. So maybe that's healing.
Yeah. Then wounds will be healed. And man, with that being said, this concludes our show. This is the Where You At podcast, where we meet you where you at. Peace. I always do the peace.
Millennials for real.
Yeah. Where you at? Where you at? All my brothers, where you at? All my sisters, where you at? I'ma meet you where you at? Where you at? Where you at? All my brothers, where you at? All my sisters, where you at? I'ma meet you where you at? Where you at? Where you at? I'ma meet you where you at? Where you at? Where you at? I'ma meet you where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Yeah, I'ma meet you where you at? I'ma meet you where you at? I'ma meet you where you at? Let's go. This is the Where You At podcast.